The FIA is under fire for its controversial new regulations targeting language offenses in Formula One. The FIA's latest rule changes have sparked outrage, with drivers and teams furious over new penalties for swearing, criticizing FIA decisions, or expressing frustration. Under these regulations, competitors could face massive fines, suspensions, or even point deductions for bringing the sport into disrepute. While the FIA claims the rules maintain professionalism, critics argue they silence drivers and strip away the raw passion that makes F1 exciting. After backlash from stars like Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, the FIA has softened its stance slightly. But is it enough? Are these rules necessary, or are they an overreach? We break down what's at stake and how this battle could change F1 forever. The FIA's controversial crackdown on driver speech erupted after World Rally Championship driver Adrian Fourmeau was fined €10,000 for swearing in a live interview after Rally Sweden. Frustrated by a mechanical failure, Fourmeau let slip an expletive, triggering an immediate penalty under the FIA's new disciplinary rules. Fourmax vented, "I was just speaking my mind. It wasn't even directed at anyone. We're racing at the limit and emotions run high. Punishing us for that? It's ridiculous." His raw emotion resonated with fans and fellow drivers, fueling a backlash against the FIA's tightening grip on conduct. The uproar over the FIA's strict speech penalties didn't stop in WRC. Formula One drivers are now speaking out against the controversial fines. Leading the charge, Lewis Hamilton dismissed the FIA's swearing fine as a joke, stating, "We're human. We race wheel-to-wheel at 200 miles per hour, and they expect us to talk like robots. Come on." Carlos Sainz echoed the frustration, emphasizing, "If fans want to see authentic reactions, they need to let us be ourselves." Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon sarcastically quipped, highlighting the absurdity of policing language across different cultures. "So, what happens if I swear in French? Does that count?" Even the typically reserved George Russell took a stand, saying, "We need to be treated as adults. Open communication with the FIA is key, but these new rules are out of touch." His statement underscores a growing divide between drivers and F1's governing body, with concerns that the sport is becoming too sanitized. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, known for his blunt honesty, dismissed the rule entirely. "If I get fined for saying what I think, so be it. It won't change who I am." The FIA's latest update to the International Sporting Code for 2025 has ignited major controversy in the Formula One paddock. With the introduction of Appendix B, stewards now have expanded authority to impose harsh penalties for conduct-related violations, a move that critics argue threatens driver expression and free speech. The new regulations cover a wide range of behaviors, including fines for swearing in public interviews or over team radio, harsher punishments for criticizing FIA decisions, and suspensions for repeat offenders. Additionally, any action deemed to be bringing the sport into disrepute could result in significant financial penalties or bans. The penalties escalate with repeated violations, with a €40,000 fine for a first offense, €80,000 for a second, along with a 1-month ban, and a €120,000 fine for a third offense, which also carries a 1-month suspension and an unspecified deduction of championship points. This includes offenses labeled as causing moral injury or loss to the FIA, a vague and highly subjective criterion that raises serious concerns over fairness and enforcement. If you are enjoying the journey so far, subscribe now for future updates from the world of Formula One. Will these changes protect the sport's reputation or stifle the personalities that make F1 exciting? The World Rally Drivers Association quickly condemned the fine, calling it excessive and unnecessary. They argued that drivers should be allowed to show emotion, especially in high-pressure situations, without fear of financial penalties. This incident reignites concerns over the FIA's increasing control over speech and behavior, especially as similar restrictions loom over Formula One. With growing resistance from drivers and fans, the question remains, is the FIA protecting professionalism or simply silencing competitors? The tensions are high among both fans and competitors, but the FIA rules are still there to be followed, raising questions about the future of F1. Will FIA back down? Or will these rules be controlling the driver's conduct, raising more controversies? Another most debated aspect of the FIA's new disciplinary rules is the ban on public criticism of FIA decisions. Under these regulations, drivers who openly challenge FIA rulings, whether in a press conference, on social media, or even in private interviews, could face fines, suspensions, or even championship point deductions. This has ignited fierce controversy, with many arguing that drivers should have the right to voice concerns about race officiating and regulations. The lack of transparency in stewarding decisions has been a long-standing frustration for teams, drivers, and fans. Now, any attempt to speak out could result in severe punishment. The rule has also raised serious questions about fairness. What defines criticism, and who decides when a driver crosses the line? Many fear that this vague wording gives the FIA unchecked power, allowing them to penalize competitors for simply expressing honest opinions. With Formula One built on passion, rivalry, and debate, this crackdown on free speech could have major consequences for the sport's authenticity. Looking up at the reactions coming from the F1 world, the FIA's controversial crackdown on driver criticism has met fierce resistance from teams and drivers, with many calling it an attack on free speech. McLaren CEO Zak Brown didn't hold back, stating, "We cannot have a system where drivers fear speaking their minds. Passion and emotion are what makes F1 exciting." Red Bull boss Christian Horner agreed, adding, "F1 thrives on debate and drama. Taking that away is not the right move." Facing overwhelming backlash, the FIA partially softened its stance. In a new statement, the governing body clarified that drivers are allowed to express opinions, but only in their own space, such as social media or personal interviews. However, they still cannot speak freely at FIA press events or on track. This half measure has left many unconvinced. Lando Norris questioned the logic, saying, "So I can say something in an Instagram post but not in a press conference? How does that make sense?" The FIA remains firm on its stance, defending the swearing ban by emphasizing that drivers serve as role models for young fans and ambassadors of the sport. In its official statement, the organization reiterated its expectation of sportsmanship, best practices, and appropriate behavior, aligning with standards set by other international sporting bodies. FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem tied the rule to his United Against Online Abuse initiative, insisting that respect in motorsport must extend beyond the track. "Our role as regulators requires us to take firm action against harassment and misconduct," he stated, urging drivers to consider the impact of their words and actions both online and offline. With resistance from both F1 and WRC drivers, the debate is far from over. Will the FIA reconsider its stance, or will this policy become yet another divisive controversy within motorsport? This fight is far from over, and the future of driver expression in F1 hangs in the balance. Could we see drivers boycotting interviews? Will younger racers be forced to suppress their personalities? What do you think? Are these rules necessary for professionalism, or is the FIA going too far? Should drivers be fined for speaking their minds? Let us know in the comments. For more F1 updates, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay fast, stay passionate, and enjoy the ride.